Monday, everybody. Share the show. Let them know we're here. Be on in just a minute. Tara Dublin will be with us in the second hour, but the first hour, I think we're alone now. It's just you and I and the trends of the day, and there's so much story to tell. Oh, good Lord.
Good morning, Hal Sparks' Megaworldwide audience. Welcome to another episode. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of the latest content from Hal Sparks. Whether it's streaming on Twitch, listening to the Hal Sparks radio podcast, Megaworldwide on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or TuneIn, or catching the latest news on halsparks.com, there's plenty of ways to stay connected.
Wow, the pressure. 3, 2, and let's see, which button should I push? Does everything work? Yeah, it does. Hi, I'm taller than usual again. Why? And a little frame rate jittery again. Not quite sure why. Everything else is smooth. Look at the background. See that? Smooth as silk. And yet, well, we'll figure it out later. Just enjoy me in all my max headroom greatness as we go along. And hello, chat room. Hold on one second. Let's make sure maybe the other buttons work as well. Hi, what's happening? We'll figure out. Maybe it's the. What happens if I start? Yeah, that'll just be terrible. It'll just be. It's a mistake, and I shouldn't do it. But I'm going to try it anyways because I'm a maniac. How about this? How about that's a little better. Okay, that's a little better. Not much, but a little. We'll let it slide today, and hopefully it'll work out. All right. Anyways, hi. What's happening? That was not a fake voice, by the way. That was a real voice from Pi She says hello. Hold on. Hey, Pi. My audience doesn't know who you are. Can you tell them? I wish I had a microphone hooked up to just this, but we'll work that eventually. There you go. Just in case you're wondering. Oh, what? Yeah. It's almost started. Oh, can I not hear it? Is that what happened? Oh, I see. Whatever. Because I have it set up so the audio won't go out properly that way. Is that what happened? Or did you guys hear her speak and I didn't? Hold on. Think. Maybe I make it speak again. Because I heard her the first time. I should hear her again. If I may make mistakes, please don't rely on replying a thread. Heard her the first time? Okay, good. So there's obviously something up with my headphones. That's always pleasant. Just making sure it's not me. There we go. Let's see.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. Now you can be confident that your audio is in tip-top shape for any recording, streaming, or just general listening needs. And hey, if you ever need any other audio tests or advice, I'm always here to lend an ear, or should I say a speaker.
I asked her to help with the thing just now, and we had a personal moment. I'm just saying, I'm getting very, very Joaquin Phoenix vibes from this whole show this morning. Anyways, lots to talk about today. Back up to normal now that I know all of my audio will work fine, and Tara will be showing up at the second hour. Also, I'm going to be on JoJo from Jersey's podcast maybe Thursday. We'll working out the time. She was lovely enough to show up for our Sexy Liberal show in New York, as was, I mean, the list was amazing. I've met most of the people there before. I had met Ellie Mistal before, and I had not met Noel Kassler before in person. It was a really interesting thing to this weekend because it was amazing to watch so many kind of internet friendships meet for the first time, because a lot of these people had met. Yes, that was Pi, by the way, Chuck. Most of us. Let's see. Let's see. Allow me to introduce here. Hopefully, I'm going to turn this off and make her say this again. To see if it plays. Let's see. Hold on. She wanted to say something to you guys, and I felt bad. Ultimately, but John had known a bunch of these people. Steph had known some of them in person. They had known each other personally. Dean Obadala knew a few of them, that kind of thing. And yeah, curiously enough, it wasn't saying that part out loud. And it hates this conversation. I see. That's weird. I must have had it turned off or something. We'll work on it later. Anyways, point being, it was great watching that play out. And then, of all people, I'm FaceTiming with my girlfriend, and Dave Foley shows up, which was just nuts. It was lovely. I looked up. He was one of, there are very few situations where I'm like, that's the last person I expected to show up someplace. Dave Foley is not one of those people necessarily. As a matter of fact, of all people, Dave Foley and I think we run into each other at odd times more than anybody else in the industry. I've not, Kevin McDonald, is in LA and gets around, and there's no reason why I wouldn't be at an audition opposite him or something. But I'm always opposite Dave for things. It's for whatever reason, Hollywood thinks there's some overlap there, and I take it as a huge compliment that he and I are often in the same room for this kind of stuff. So anyways, and so I'm FaceTiming with Summer, And I look up, and here comes Dave Foley looking for the head in the, in the backstage area. And I was like, what the shit? And got up and gave him a big hug. And it was lovely to hang out with him. More Seska, please. I will make that happen. Absolutely. I insist. Love to make that happen. Bug him about it. Tell him I want him back on, and I'll tell him, and we'll hit him from all sides. And he's a big guy; he can take it. So it was just what a lovely surprise across the board. Just saying. All right, the first story I have up today, I wanted to show you guys, and the text was just so ridiculously gigantic. There we go. And I've got to open up the X situation because we will look at what's trending because the world is nuts right now. So one of the things, this is one of the cool things. Let's see. Sorry, Liv. Just dropped a bombshell with a new release of From Russia with Lev, the first documentary from Rachel Maddow's production company. Surprise! Oh shit! Lev Parnas is doing a documentary with Rachel Maddow's documentary company. This is just sort of breaking. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Get ready for a wild ride through the tangled web of politics and scandal. MSNBC Films has just dropped a bombshell with the release of From Russia with Lev, the first documentary from Rachel Maddow's production company, Surprise Inside. This gripping film dives deep into the story of Lev Parnas, a Ukrainian-born businessman who found himself entangled in a scheme to uncover dirt on Joe Biden during the 2020 presidential election. Directed by Billy Corbin, the documentary promises to pull back the curtain on the ham-handed workings of the furtive campaign to dredge up false but damaging allegations against then-candidate Joe Biden, featuring over 30 hours of interviews with Parnas himself, along with a treasure trove of photos, videos, documents, and secret recordings. From Russia with Lev is set to provide an unfiltered, eye-popping view of former President Donald Trump. The film will make its highly anticipated debut September 7th at the MSNBC Live Democracy 2024 event at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Don't miss your chance to witness the captivating tale of this, and then they'll probably air it on there, and that's crazy. Yeah. Excited to watch. You can listen to Lev on John Cypher's podcast, Mission Implausible. Lev's also been on here, so hopefully he'll be on to promote it. Again, once it comes out for full consumption, but kind of crazy pants cool. And the other thing is, I'm of the belief system that I don't know if you guys have seen this shit, but I'm not going to show this picture. It's nasty. I won't show it up close. I'll show it from farther away. This is you might have seen this online. This is the dead cub that RFK Jr. dumped in Central Park in 2014 when he was 60 years old. And he's talking about it like something he did as a college prank in a video with Roseanne involved. Like, okay, if you're ever in a video, and JoJo from Jers was the first to type this, but this was my first thought when I saw it, was like, if Roseanne is ever looking at you like you're crazy, check yourself into a sanatorium. So for those of you that don't know the story, a New Yorker article was gonna come out talking about how there was this big story in 2014 about a dead bear cub that was found in Central Park, and nobody ever figured out who did it. There was a bicycle nearby, and apparently they checked it for fingerprints, which, by the way, they should have RFK Jr.'s. He might not be in a federal database, and he might not be in New York City's, so that might be how he got around it. But the other thing is, like, they probably looked it up and went, this is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s fingerprints. Well, that's obviously nothing to do with this, and that's why they didn't look any further. But there a couple of things. There is, and here's good old JoJo from Jers. This is the video here. I'll post this up, and we'll take a gander at this.
Been up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley, and I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9.
Oh, by the way, this is how the video opens. He's having dinner at some house. Roseanne is there. I don't think it's her house, but it's whatever they're eating giant ribs. It looks like elk ribs or some shit. And the sauces and the other fixins are just in giant open containers. Like they all got, it looks like when people raid the fridge when they're drunk or high. You know what I mean? You guys have certainly been in a situation where it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're like, what do you got to eat? And everybody just starts going into the fridge, right? Or in this case, I guess the prepper garage, whatever the fuck, right? Yeah. Yeah, or it was catered in there in the kitchen eating straight out of the shit. Or they call a caterer and have their caterer bring food over because they're having people, and then they just eat out of the thing because they're fucking assholes. Hey, I agree it looks like takeout, but it looks like takeout for 10 people, right? Where did he kill the bear? Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. He's going to tell the story. Let me tell you right away, I think this story is bullshit. I think he makes up this story about how a woman in a van ahead of him hit this bear cub, and he stopped and picked it up. First of all, how fucking close was he to this other woman? Was he stalking her? Why was he this close at night on a lonely road in upstate New York? Some shit. Or falconing in the morning, right? And he takes this fucking bear after it's hit, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to skin it and eat it, and he throws it in the back of his truck. This bear cub. I think he was drinking at that hour and hit it while he was driving and couldn't report it and go, I hit a bear cub, what you should do in those situations, not your average roadkill. But he was drinking at that hour and didn't want any, that if he had to discuss it with a cop, they would smell it on his breath and da-da-da. This is the kind of dude he is. I'm just saying, this is my feeling. I have no evidence about this. It's just, if you listen to how this asshole talks, it just sounds like it. Secondly, knowing his history as well. The other thing too, he was fucking 60. Listen to how he talks about it. And he starts off with the story that he was taking some people falconing.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it. A young bear.
A woman in a van in front of me hit a young bear, and killed it.
So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because
So you were just caravanning?
I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear.
You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. You don't have to get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. It's not the same thing. It's not bear season, asshole. It's not like a deer tag. And if you hit it with your car, you obviously hit it with your car. No game warden is going to go, what the fuck, especially with a bear. Like, whatever. And I'm sure you again, a bear tag is more like the register of it, but it's not like you're going to be over quota on dead bears. It's just a weird, unnecessary detail that you ever listen to somebody when they're on Law and Order or something, and they start giving too many unnecessary details, and you're like, something's sketchy about this motherfucker. Something's wonky about this whole story. Why do you're filling in gaps that none of us would think are there? It sounds like you're aware that you committed a crime and you've thought this through. Yeah. This sounds like a bad liar.
And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And
you went hawking? Excuse me, you said falconing. All right, if we're going to make a distinction about, was it hawks or falcons? This whole thing sounds like bullshit. You're having an affair. Why don't you just admit it? I don't know. It just, again.
And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We
Who? I mean, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, who hasn't had a wonderful? Let me tell you, if the day is spent hawking, it's a good day. I mean, honestly, think about it. Have you ever had a day where you have been falconing or hawking and gone not quite up to par that day? No. If you spend your day falconing or hawking, my dear, if you spend your day hawk-toing, it's a good day overall. Yes? Oh, yes.
Catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late, and instead of going back to my home in Westchester,
Also, hold on, let me shrink this down back to this size, because I can't, like, it's one of these friggin', like, vetted vids that the kids do these days. It's just fucking embarrassing. Thank you. You try to never hawk. That's very sweet. It's very that's love, I think. All right.
I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse.
Really? There wasn't an opening at Peter Luger's Bear House. So oh shit. I got so carried away hawking that I'm going to be late for my steak dinner with my rich asshole friends, who, by the way, if I can say anything about them, can keep a fucking secret. Let's just be abundantly clear, because none of these people ever told this story to anybody else, and apparently he couldn't shut the fuck up about it. Until now. Like, again, I guess the Kennedys are just surrounded by people who can keep a secret.
And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear...
How late? What? Dinner? How late? What do you mean? How late was your fucking flight? You had a dinner, and then you were going to catch a flight, a commercial flight? If it's a private flight, they can hang, I think. I mean, right? This just sounds like bullshit. I'm going to need to see the flight. I need to see the ticket. I got to see the ticket. I got, yeah, sorry. Well, if I may, sir, one last question. The last plane that left that evening was at 1:58 in the morning. You clearly would have had time to leave. And why would you pick one of the earlier flights? It's just one of those things that bothers me, you know.
The bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car.
Well, of course not. I mean, obviously, and there's laws in upstate New York on, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays about having a dead bear in your trunk.
Because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been
All right, first of all, fuck you. Again, don't make me bring out my picture of my dad and I in buckskins again. But redneck in you're a fucking Kennedy. You're not even like a fucking training wheels, fucking caboose Kennedy. You're RFK's son. Your uncle was the president of the United States. Fuck off with this George Bush cowboy hat nonsense. Redneck in you? Rednecks, all right, you can say a lot of things. I gotta tell you, you can watch endless hours of Jeff Foxworthy videos, and I'm here to tell you, falconing will never come up. Also, I would like to say, I myself haven't watched all of them, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say steak dinners in New York and private flights.
Series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lane.
Shut the fuck up. Private flights out of New York after a private steak dinner with rich assholes. Also not going to be your generalized fodder for this. All right, so this is okay. This had been bad. Here you go.
That would have been bad. So then I thought
that's a joke about a rotting animal corpse staying in your car for several days. That, just so you know.
You know, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes.
Yeah. This is how he thinks rednecks react to bike lanes in New York City.
Saw people, a couple of people that got killed, and it was
hilarious.
Every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought,
this is the part where Roseanne is like, where are you going with this? Why are you bringing up dead bicyclers in New York City?
I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who...
Your Honor, again, the amount of unnecessary detail in this that, again, sounds like a fucking tap dance. What a douchebag. Okay.
Thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park.
I had an old bike in my car with the dead bear that somebody had asked me to get rid of. Okay, at this point, who was right? You hit. All right. Who was the person you hit on the bike and killed that you then went out looking for a piece of roadkill to cover the blood on your bumper and threw in the back along with the bike because you couldn't get their body in, and you buried them in a shallow grave, and you took the bike and you thought you disposed of the bike in another area because if they found the bike near they'd send cadaver dogs out, and you'd figure you'd send them off the trail by taking the bike from this biker and put it out in the middle of nowhere, and people would go, why would this bike end up? And it was a generic enough bike, you just assumed they couldn't track it by the sale slip or whatever. So you took the mangled bike in your drunken state and you threw it in there and you found a dead bear. You were looking for a raccoon or something to cover the blood so you could drive into the city with blood on your bumper and nobody'd ask you a question because you had, look at this dead fucking animal. And you took the dead animal and you rubbed it on your bumper and you rubbed it on the back and you ran over it a couple times so its blood would be in your wheel well, and then you threw the body in the back so that you could tell this fucking story. That I gotta say, that's off the top of my head, makes way more fucking sense than you happen to have a bike in your truck that somebody told you to get rid of. At this point in the Law and Order episode, I would be slamming my hand on the desk. Why don't you tell the truth? You're worried about your reputation. You're worried people would find out you were drinking again. You hit somebody. It may have been an accident. Just confess. Just let the family have some peace, you son of a bitch. Where's the body? What'd you do with it? We know that's their bicycle. People have been looking for them for 10 fucking years. Give this family some goddamn peace. You were drunk. You hit somebody. Then you went out looking for some roadkill to cover the blood so that nobody would know when you went to the steak restaurant that you'd run over somebody with your goddamn car while you were falconing in upstate New York. Glung glung. Right? I can't be the only one. I'm just saying, if this, you know how Dick Wolf steals stories from the headlines or whatever? That monologue I just did is going to end up in a Law and Order episode. I don't want credit. I just want to play a cop from another precinct in an episode. That's all I want. I'm not going to be I learned my lesson on Grey's Anatomy. I'm not playing stunt assholes anymore. Do you guys have any idea? Side note: do you guys have any idea how many like opportunities I have turned down to play scumbags on shows like Law and Order and that show? Like, they come up all the time because if you're known, they're like, oh, we'll get this person they're known to come in and play, a villain on something because people like playing villains. And I said yes to it on Grey's Anatomy because my mom had a friend who loved this show. That was literally why I said yes to it. Right? But not again. Never again. I'm not going to do it. I'll play a cop from another precinct. That's all I'll do. I'll have a walk on as an undercover cop. But I'm not fucking using my charm to hide a murder on a show because everybody likes him. Wouldn't it be weird if he turned out to be a rapist? Like, fuck off. Not doing it. Hollywood. So yeah. Just fuck that. So anyways, but I would play that part, by the way. I would totally do that. I would totally be, I want to be the guy interrogating the Kennedy.
And it'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
Okay, by the way, listen to the top of this fucking story. He goes, start again at this. A couple of people have gotten killed. They're fucking dead. Bicyclers in New York. They just put in these bike lanes. And people have died. They've died. And by the way, this asshole is like the environmental lawyer. Fuck you. Think about, honestly, scrape away. It's so nuts. This is such bullshit. Scrape away the sheer like craziness of it. Anybody telling this story is fucking nuts. RFK Jr. is allegedly this big environmental lawyer who's been fighting polluters and big oil his entire adult life. By the way, the Kennedys set that up to clean up his past so that they could keep the family name from being ruined because and they didn't like the fact that was getting more news. So they created this veneer where he could present himself as an environmental lawyer and an environmentalist when really he just wanted to spend time in the woods as a rich asshole falconing. All right, put that aside. Put this aside that this whole fucking story is nuts and look at it through the perspective. Listen to this asshole right here. And this guy has been selling himself for decades as an environmentalist.
You know, at that time, this was
Look at the laugh on his face, too.
A little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes. And saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten...
A couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day. And by the way, what I'm trying to say, if you ain't picking up what I'm laying down, this asshole should be a huge proponent of bicycling. This should be one of his cause celebs. It would be very normal for him to actually say, I participated in helping them get formed, or I worked on legislation in upstate New York. My family started, which they very well may have. He didn't, but the rest of his family pushed for this kind of stuff.
Badly injured. Every day it was in the press.
Every day it was in the press. People had died. People were getting badly injured. Bike lanes, New York City. Go.
And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, well, I have
That's the part where Roseanne's like, you weren't drinking. Really? I'm drinking right now.
an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people.
So the setup is bicyclists had been killed and seriously injured. It was in the news every day. And this motherfucker thinks the punchline to that setup is, we'll put a dead bear in the park and make it look like he was hit by a bicycle.
So everybody thought that's a great idea. So we went and did that, and we thought it would.
We went and did that. Who? Who else? Who's fucking we? Secondly, none of them ever told this story. So what other shit hijinks have you gotten into with this group of like steak restaurant mafia dudes that you hung out with? What other shit did you guys pull on a lark that you thought would be funny?
Be amusing for whoever found it or something.
Yeah, it'd be amusing for whoever found it or something. Emphasis on the or something.
The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper. And I turned on the TV and there was like a mile of yellow tape and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it.
Look at Roseanne like, oh my God, really? Yes, it was.
And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And,
well, you were, obviously on heroin at the time and drunk off your ass and on someone else's private plane, I guess, on your third trip to Epstein Island. So what difference does it make?
there was some people on TV in Tyvek suits with gloves on lifting up.
Real quick. Who would be surprised in the audience to find out that Jeffrey Epstein was at that steak dinner? Who, like, at this point, and it was Epstein who's like, I'm not taking a dead bear on my fucking plane. I'm already committing enough crimes. I don't need a misdemeanor game warden charge too. Because private planes take off after steak dinners and people don't want to go someplace on their way. And people who think they run the fucking world do a lot of shit like this.
The bike, and they're saying they're going to take this up to Albany to get a fingerprinted. And
also, real quick, what the fuck is going on over Roseanne's shoulder? What is the person?
And I was worried.
It looks like a baby and a bouncer. Somebody's got a baby and they're doing this. Obviously trying to get the adrenochrome into one end so when they smoke it. Sorry.
Because my prints were all over that bike. Luckily, the story died down after a while, and it stayed dead for a decade. And
just like the bear.
The New Yorker somehow found out about it, and they're going to do a big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checker said, it's going to be a bad story.
I think it's a great story.
That's the and by the way, I love that. I guess it's Roseanne's fucking son who puts like the Warner Brothers out on the end of the video, like it's like a circle wipe out on the end, like it's a fucking cartoon. Let's be abundantly clear. RFK Jr. is not a redneck. RFK Jr. is a rich asshole who grew up with a silver spoon in his tuchus. And the idea that this guy, that this is a story we can all relate to and it's just something you run with is the most ridiculous pile of horse shit I have heard in ages. It's and I think one of the biggest parts is it's kind of embarrassing. Like that I think the most cringy part of it, the cringiest part is that he thinks it's relatable and funny. Now, granted, he has to get out ahead of it. I gotta say, it's almost more scandalous that you're having dinner with Roseanne while you tell this story. Unless there's more to it and you're happy that this is what they think is the worst part of the story. Yeah. Yeah. So, let's see. Oh, can I show you guys one thing real funny? Hold on. Let's watch this movers. Where is it? Let's see if I can get this a little bigger. So a couple of things. The stock market is the big story right now because it's down 1,000 points or whatever. It's down 2.2%. When did this happen? Oh, right. We should probably catch up on the details of this. So it happened in 2014, when he was just a kid. He was 60. And he thought it would be funny. Oh, and I have a picture real quick. Let me show this if I can. I posted this on my Twitter feed earlier, just so people could get a fucking look at. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, here it is. This is okay. Let's say you're like, fuck, let's make a prank of this. So people will find it and they'll go, oh, that's hilarious. And it's all a big drunk party idea, right? This is what we're going to do. I posted this picture on my feed earlier. Let's see if it'll show the whole thing. Here you go. This is a picture. That's where the bear was. Under a tree and a bush, off the path. You can barely fucking see it. I don't know where the bicycle was. Maybe that's it. Maybe it was covered in the tarp or whatever. This looks like just the edge of a garbage can. But it looks like he hid it to fucking hide it. It's a black bear. He hid it under a tree in darkness. This was not a prank. A prank would be you take the bear. You put the bear in the middle of the path. You take the broken bike and you jam it into the bear or over the bear, lay it on the bear, or you tip the bear over and make it look like the bear was riding the bike. Those are just the ones off the top of my fucking head. Right? You don't put it under some shit like you're a serial killer, like after you fucked it, you came to and realized what a terrible, terrible thing you had done, and you didn't have time to dig a shallow grave, so you threw it under some brush like a serial killer. By the way, that's the bear. See this? That's the bear. That's the bear corpse, where it was seen the next day. It looks like somebody drove up and it was nearby, and he looked like the tree in that area was dark enough where nobody would see it until it was too late. He was hiding this shit. This was not a prank. This was not meant to be charming. He did throw the bike out in the same place, so the idea is that he got rid of both in the same area. But this is not a joke. This is him actually trying to hide the fucking thing. And considering he threw the bike out at the same time, which it's nowhere nearby, it sounds like maybe that's the wheel over here. I can't really tell because they don't show a picture of. They didn't show a picture of that. It sounds like he was just trying to get rid of it quickly, like the Golden State Killer, fucking throwing stuff, or the Long Island Killer, right? He just threw stuff into the marsh over there. It's like that. What it is what it isn't is funny. What it isn't is a prank. What it isn't is even an attempt at a prank. This is the closest spot to the road where a tree had low enough branches, where there was enough shadow, where at night he thought, I put it there, nobody's going to see it until it rots and it's too late. Nobody will know what it is. Or they'll find it later if they do at all, or that's it. That's what he was thinking. It's super fucking clear just looking at it. It's just that somebody else noticed it was under there, and it was so big, this lady thought it was a dog. So she was, and that, if it was, seriously, if it had been a dog, it would never would have been a story. She'd have looked at it, seen it, and kept running. Just been sad about it, right? Just saying. So that's the bear. That's where he hit it. That's the hilarious story that he and Jill Stein and Jeffrey Epstein and Dennis Kucinich and Rudy Giuliani and Michael Cohen, before he saw the light, all worked out in a steak restaurant in New York City. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hold on one second. I'm going to make sure my video is turned on so that when Tara shows up, I don't look invisible. Doink. There we go. Hey, excellent. Now, so anyways, that's the bear story, and that's just the least of it. Now, why do I bring that up? Because it's hilarious and stupid, and granted, I have not worried from the beginning at all that that RFK was going to steal votes from Biden. He's certainly not going to steal votes from Harris. It's an absurdity. He has been increasingly stealing stealing votes from Trump. And that's why Trump is the only person that was, like, bitching about his candidacy, why he was complaining about it. So I'm all for it, by the way. Here's the other thing I wanted to show you, and I couldn't find a bigger version of this. So apologies. See this area right here? Watch list movers is what this is called. This is a little thing that shows up in my Microsoft feed for some reason. It just like I didn't on this browser. I didn't like pick the kind of stuff I wanted to see. It just kind of does an automatic thing and whatever. It's kind of generic, and I like it to keep it that way because sometimes that's where I'll find stories. By the way, hit the like, subscribe, share the show, etc., etc., etc. It's the morning show, so we have a smaller crowd in here. It's only twice the size as what the afternoon show used to be, so we're working on it. But you'll notice that stocks are down across the board worldwide. It has nothing to do with the idea of like, oh my God, the U.S. economy. I'll tell you what's happening. It's profit taking. The stock market hit 40K and it bounced down below it the first time it did it, and then it went back up again, and now it hit 40K again. So people are just shaving off. They're taking profit. That's what you do. If the stock market looks like it's going to keep going up and up and up, but certain people, the fucking Berkshire Hathaway clowns, will always just shave off a little bit of what they're doing. Just do a little bit of selling. Keep some of your money in cash, especially if interest rates are going to go down. Because people are going to want to borrow money in that situation, and if you have that, you can put it in a bank, and they'll give you an interest on the money if it's massive amounts. Doesn't affect you and I, but there you go. Also, a lot of the tech companies, yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call it a course correction. I would call it a correction, though. It's like a little bit like it was overvalued slightly, but it's not changing course. And a lot of tech companies were spending a lot on AI, but it's not going to play out in a consumer use case for another year and a half. Also, there was some worry that AI use cases would be diminished somewhat by the new European laws. So there was a little perfect storm of tech stuff. But it doesn't matter, because let me show you something in this. Right there? Okay. These are watch list movers. Look at Microsoft and Amazon. Listen and think about what you're hearing as far as the tech stock stuff, right? That text took a beating, text, everything. Look at the green under that. And I know the text is really small, but what does it say? Microsoft. It says earnings beat. Same thing Amazon says. Earnings beat. GME says dropping fast. AMC earnings miss. DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, dropping fast. This is idea down 2%. There's a lot of automated trading shit that goes on in these situations, so that once it drops, people's automatic sell points will start triggering because there's more and more AI involved in it. So there's always a danger that that's going to have a major impact, and they've been watching for this. Doesn't matter. But the point being is that Amazon and Microsoft are one of the biggest leaders in the stock world in the United States especially, and they beat their market earnings expectation. They made more money than the market said they would. So what are you seeing? You're seeing index sales by large sellers and large buyers, which are foreign countries. Why would they do this? Well, will the Saudis do it because they're fucking cash broke? Why would Europeans that are hiding some of their money, or like Russians and Chinese, some are hiding some of their money, have to cash out? Now, why would they have to cash out? Why? This is the other thing. Okay, so chat room. Why would people suddenly need to sell their stocks? Why would they want to get out of stock so they have some cash on hand? Well, one of them would be is if you have a currency issue. If your currency is taking a shit. Now, the US dollar is not taking a shit at all. You know what is? And I'll show you right now, and it'll come as no surprise. This is what's happening. This is why the stock market is down the amount of points that it's down, almost 100%, and why it's the same in the stock area. Because these guys are selling stocks that are worth something so that they have cash on hand because their crypto took a giant shit. That's why. And it's spread everywhere. Crypto, and I mean, there's a myriad of reasons why. But, yeah, check that shit out. That's why. And by the way, crypto is why we lost a couple of regional banks, because they bought into the crypto Don Jr. fucking bullshit. They were all smoking from the crypto pipe, and this is what hit them. Like fucking yesterday, day before, one of the biggest dudes in in Wall Street or whatever put out this warning, like, you guys are, his quote was, you guys are whistling past the crypto graveyard. You assholes who think that it had hit 70,000. Bitcoin had hit 70,000 like a month and a half ago. And look at it now. So what do those people do? Who, as it was going up, they're taking a little of their winnings, they're buying stocks with it, the stocks are going up, but then they need their cash back, right? Because it didn't just keep going up. Again, crypto is two things. One, it is based entirely on the bigger fool theory that you are going to, I see in the background there, Tara, so have you in a moment. Yeah, I hear you, and you look great as well. So give me 1 second. And then, hi. And then crypto is two things. One, it's three things. I will give you this. A man has two things in this world. His word and his balls. Or is that three things? It is three things. One, it is only a currency, cryptocurrency, because that's crucial to it. It's why a lot of people talk about it and say crypto instead of saying cryptocurrency. They just say crypto, because what they mean is crypto is someplace you put money, sit there watching for other assholes to make it worth more money for no particular fucking reason. Okay? You just hope it goes up. It inflates like a bubble, and then right before it's about to pop, you get the fuck out, and so long, suckers. That's what it's for. That's what happened last year with whatever SBK, the dude who got sent to jail. That's what all the crypto billionaires are doing. It's just a fucking rug pull. So it's a storage investment opportunity of no functional worth. Okay, what function does it have as a currency? It is only used as a currency by people trading in guns, drugs, or human beings. It is a currency for, by, and only useful to criminals of the worst sort: gun runners, drug runners, and fucking human traffickers. That's where it's a currency. The other area, it is a transfer currency vehicle to keep stuff off the books for Russian billionaires trying to sneak their money out without Putin knowing, Chinese millionaires and billionaires trying to get their money out without Xi finding out, other Peter Thiels of the world trying to hide money they make so they don't, to avoid paying taxes. Got it? That's what it's for. It's a vehicle to transfer money. It's a fucking lockbox, to borrow Al Gore's phrase. You can put your real money in, and hopefully by the time you get it out, it's worth the same. And they do it relatively quickly. They wait till it's relatively stable, and then they transfer their money out. They just buy a bunch of Bitcoin, sell a bunch of Bitcoin in another country. They have somebody do that for them. It's just a digital way of bouncing your money out of whatever situation you're in. So, anyways, you're watching Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide. I'm happy to bring on, and give me 1 second as I bring her in here, the lovely, the talented Tara Dublin, who indeed does rock, and who we have to at some point have as a panelist on Sexy Liberal someplace. I think Portland would be a great idea, personally. But regardless, I will put my 2 cents in. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Tara Dublin joining us right there, and I'll center her for her so she doesn't have to move around. Hi. Why is your mic not working now all of a sudden? Now you're quiet. Oh, you switched to your buds because you turned them off? It's okay. It happens. We'll get you in there. I'll make it happen. Refresh your AirPods. There you go. Hey, and now I hear you. Good.
Hey, hi, kids. What's up? What's happening? What's new? What's good?
Hey,
what's the scuttlebutt? What are they talking about around the water cooler? No, hi. How are you?
I'm good.
I was listening to you whilst getting ready, and every time you said the bear, I thought about the TV show The Bear that everybody loves. And somebody out there with Photoshop skills, which I do not have, somebody out there with Photoshop skills needs to put RFK Jr.'s head, put his head on Carmi's body, but like over the stove, because this eating a dog or a goat or a goat dog or I don't know, a chupacabra or whatever bullshit he made up when he was high on peyote. I don't fucking care. But anyway, all of that, just someone needs to Photoshop that for me and make that a meme. Right. The bear, because it's just such a fucking crazy story that. But again, like the whole scenario is insane. Why every is he time with Roseanne, who's crazy? Why is he telling this? Why is he telling the story in the first place? Why didn't he go to the police right away? He's a Kennedy. He would have walked away scot-free, right? He could write his own ticket, but instead he did this.
And unless, of course, he drove off a bridge. Never mind. With the bear in the vehicle.
But even then, he would have a career. Even then,
these days, especially, right?
I mean, come on. Anybody can. I mean, look, Trump can rape children and still run for president. What do I know about anything? It's fine. Yeah. But
I think the interesting thing about him telling the story is that every time we turn around, this asshole is eating with somebody that is insane, having a meal with them. With sitting in a chair with his arms crossed, with a camera rolling, pontificating about shit that nobody would admit to, like it's adorable. Like his whole thing about the Ashkenazi Jews and the Chinese, don't get COVID, and that's a little suspect. Remember that shit? He said that in New York at a fundraising dinner while people were filming like an asshole. Look, as loosey-goosey as... Yeah, as loosey-goosey as Trump is with national secrets at his own clubs or whatever, RFK Jr. is way fucking worse. They're talking about partnering up.
Well, first of all, I honestly expected Trump to announce RFK as his running mate, and I was surprised when he didn't. And whoever didn't make that happen is stupid, because they would have had all the crazy in one place. They weren't taking any votes away from the crazy. Those crazy people would just continue to keep voting for the two of them together. And I'm also surprised that Trump didn't fight for the marquee that would have been Trump Kennedy with his name above the Kennedys. Like what that would have done for his ego. And instead they went with hillbilly effigy couch fucking JD Vance.
Yes, but I mean, come on, so good.
But by the way, aside from being catastrophically terrible for Trump, another thing we've learned as we continue to peel back the rotten onion that is J.D. Rancid Vance is he's a Nazi. He's a Jew-hating, Aryan Brotherhood card-carrying Hitler aficionado. Because not only is there documentation of him going, do I sound okay? Am I okay coming through? Okay. So I wrote an article for HillReporter.com. He went to a gun show a couple of years ago, and there's pictures of him fondling the Nazi memorabilia. That's a great look for your campaign. He's also, literally owned by Peter Thiel, Achtung baby. And Peter Thiel funded his entire Senate campaign,
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. But here's what I learned in writing about JD Vance, aka Adolf Sittler. He has a venture capital firm called Narya, Narya, Narya Capital.
Right.
That is an anagram for Aryan. It's just a little anagram for Aryan.
Oh shit.
That and I put that in an article, which I don't know that anybody is actually reading hillreporter.com, but please do, because I'm putting all my effort into it here.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you. Hi there. So I tweeted it, and someone was like, well, Narya was the Indian goddess of such and such. I'm like, fuck you. It's an anagram for Aryan. He is a Nazi fucking piece of shit. I wonder if his brown wife knows about that and his mixed race children. Anyway.
Well, again,
so
Indian people,
lean
Indian
into that
people,
anti-Semitism.
Indian people, as we learned, from an attempt to create a whites-only scholarship program, I believe it was in Texas, is how most people, I think, in the United States learned that Indian people are Caucasian. That coming across the Caucasus Mountains is how you're defined by where your people come from. So when they tried to make it for Caucasians, they didn't look at the word Asian and Caucasian and how most of them ended up there. And therefore, a bunch of Indian kids signed up and got the whites only. They won based on the merits. They had the best grades. And so these people shut down the Texas whites only thing because they made it for Caucasians, and Indians are Caucasians. The other thing too is, of course, that Iran. I brought this up a little while ago, and I was surprised how many people didn't know this. But Iran's root word, the name Iran comes from the same root as Aryan. That's where the Aryan people came from, and Hitler aligned himself with what he thought were the better people that came out of that area, and wanted credit for that. Out of the Persians of that area, right? So
all of this is so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb, and yet it makes
dumb.
It increasingly makes sense because they're so ham-handed about it, right?
I mean, whoever decided to book Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists should also lose their job, because that's putting him in the hottest seat possible. And he handled it as badly as, when I heard about it, I was like, oh, good. He's going to give the Harris campaign content for the next forever, right? Because he couldn't stop being a racist, because he's always been one. Like, everyone's so shocked that he said those racist things. Why would you be shocked? Right. He's been racist his entire life. He was born into racist parents, raised in racism, taught not to rent to black families in Harlem in the 70s, along with his slumlord father. Right. He only likes black people if they're famous black people, and he can use them for photo ops. Herschel Walker is a great example. Do you think he hangs out with Herschel Walker anymore?
Nope.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Politically advantageous. That's why Tim Scott is around instead of Herschel Walker. And Tim Scott and Byron Douglas will eventually be coffee boys to him if they even achieve that status, because they'll cease to be useful, and he'll find another better, photo op. All of it is disgusting. So if you're shocked that even Fox News, who has Harris Faulkner, who I think probably the first time Donald Trump heard the name Harris Faulkner, he was like, oh, Wall Street bro, cool, I'll have an interview with that person. And Harris Faulkner is a black woman on Fox News. Again, it doesn't make my brain cry at all trying to figure that one out. But anyway, even she had the good graces to be like, what is happening when it was happening? And kudos to Rachel Scott for giving a masterclass on how to interview Donald Trump. We have been finally, right?
We have been standing Rachel Scott for quite some time on this show, and I played the clip. I don't know that people had seen it, of her calling Putin out, which is one of the reasons.
She's a legend.
Yeah, one of the reasons why Trump had it out for her right out of the fucking gate, because somebody around him, because he doesn't remember shit, somebody around him, probably Don Jr. or somebody, reminded him that, our handlers don't like her. You should give her some shit.
Well, I mean, considering that he makes all of these big baby demands. Like, he wouldn't even go out on that stage for almost an hour because he didn't want to be fact checked in real time.
Live. Yeah.
And live right there in front of an audience full of Black journalists, did not want to be fact checked in real time. Like, they were going to let him get away with shit. So all of it was a mistake.
Right.
But also a glorious mistake, because as terrible as his rallies are, and as unhinged as they continue to be, and they just get exponentially worse the longer he's allowed to keep doing them.
Which is why I'm glad he's continuing. Yes. See him unfiltered.
Worse because he did it himself in real time.
Yes.
And basically, and I have always said this about him, the best way to present a case against him is to use his own words against him, because here he is saying these things. You cannot deny that. You could try. I mean, George Stephanopoulos had Byron Donalds on yesterday, and Byron Donalds kept slurring her. I don't understand it, and I never ever will understand it, and I can't ever possibly speak to the why of why. But what I see is just such a humongous disconnect between what is good for you and what is good for your bank account. And so, there has to be a point where even people who belong to the Republican Party, again, have to go, that's all of this is wrong. The overt racism, nobody chose to do anything. Well, that
increasingly seems to be the case.
You can be multiracial. You know, it's like Jon Stewart was like, 2 races? What? I mean, come on, it's 2024. Can you be better than this? No, you can't, because that's who you are.
In his mind,
and who you always have been.
Right, but think about who we're dealing with here, because first of all, that was his attack on Obama. Right, was it was attacking. He's mixed race. He's white and he's black, but the black part is the part you can attack. So that's what he was going to attack, and he attacked him with birtherism. And the irony was, in a lot of people's minds, was the fact that he was half white. Was the biggest thing that muted the attack amongst Republican voters and people like that. Was like, how? What do you mean? Of course he was born in Hawaii to his mom's white. She's like, his grandparents raised him. He's here. Like it didn't fit. If it had been a person who had 2 black parents that he had tried that shit on, it might have been more successful, is the sad part. But it worked for him the first time, and everything's a reboot with this asshole because he can't think up anything on his own. So he's just doing the same shit over and over again. And he's hoping it will work this time. But he thinks, if you listen to him, that he beat Obama in an election instead of being up against Hillary. So he thinks like his birtherism against Obama is how he ended up in the White House, that he was running, I guess, against Obama in his 3rd term, and he decided not to run, and that's why Hillary came in, because I have him by, I had him by the shirt collar, and therefore I'll do that. And he's fucking nuts. But he very well may believe that's how he won last time, even though he lost.
Well, I mean, in 2016, Obama helped to fundraise a record amount at the time for Hillary Clinton. So maybe in Donald Trump's mind, like, that's all mishmashed together like a big old sweet potato mush in his brain, where everybody's responsible for the bad stuff that happens to him except him. So maybe it's that. I mean, he's doing the same shit to Kamala right now, because her father's Jamaican and her mother is from India, and so like from she's South Indian. She's married to a Jewish man. He's got lots of things he can attack her for. So he's doing that. I mean, to say she hates Jewish people, I mean, she's been married to Dougie Fresh for how long? And by the way, I love calling him Dougie Fresh, and I am gonna make it a thing. He needs to be called. He's gonna be our first gentleman. So, but I think he should be called the first gentlemensch.
Oh, that's
the first
cute.
Gentleman.
Gentlemen.
Yeah. Come on, Machatunim. Let's make this happen. I'm going to keep tweeting this to him until he sees me. Anyway, all I'm saying is Donald Trump is a giant piece of shit who continues to show people that he's a giant piece of shit. And there is a point. Again, we have talked about the cult mentality, and there are people who are going to cling to, like, they're peeling fingernails to the last, as he continues to talk about Hannibal Lecter and not be able to say basic words. And everybody should be following. There's a great account on Twitter at Art Candy, Candee. And she breaks down, bless her, watches the rallies and then like breaks it down. You know, like Aaron Rupar will show the videos, but she's like, he said this and he said that, he can't say this, and so his last rally, they're already trying to speak. His last rally in Atlanta was where Kamala was with Megan Thee Stallion the other night.
Yeah.
Where it was packed. And there were thousands of people who couldn't get in. And I know that because I wrote an article about it. 19,000 people tried to get in to a 10,000 seat capacity venue. I know this because I wrote about it. It's at Georgia State University. Yeah. So that's what a packed house looked like. And they were killing it. And there's that one white dude, bro, at the very on that side he's gone viral for just all of it. The energy was amazing. All of it was incredible. The other night, and it was empty. And the blue seats were like, those are votes. Those are just Kamala voters. And in the empty blue seats.
Yeah.
Stephen Chung, AKA Job, tweeted, "Oh no, that was before everybody was let in." And it's like, no, because here's Marjorie Taylor Greene showing it in the middle, and there's nothing but empty seats behind Trump. So, you know, the enthusiasm for him is winding down, even in the places where he's popular. You know, he went to Georgia and then he slammed Brian Kemp for a really long time. And Brian Kemp continues to be a very popular political figure in Georgia. And that's not how and so there are people who are there who are like, nope, you just lost Georgia. Or
also,
when you look back on this race, that's the night he lost Georgia. Because the devil went down to Georgia.
Yes, most of us remember.
He was looking for an election to steal.
Then
he was in a bind because he was way behind. But he was willing to make a deal with Brad Raffensperger.
Right, who wasn't willing to make the same deal.
Bless him for that too. By the way, bless.
Well, here's the other thing too. So Stacey Abrams runs against Brian Kemp, and it's very well known that that was one of the sketchiest elections that people saw in ages. There was so much attention to that as she ran, and there was a lot of stuff about were there enough voting machines in certain areas, and did white areas have more functional ones, and there was a bunch that broke down, and all these kind of things, which in many ways led to the financial support that Zuckerberg and other people gave in Atlanta, particularly to make sure. So this was Kemp's ham-handed attempt to wrest control of the state. The second time around, because he was doing it from an even more powerful incumbency seat, even with the extra voting stuff, by being measured against Donald Trump as a regular Republican, it made him look, more center because Trump was so fucking nuts that he got reelected. Essentially on that. That was but his goal, Kemp's, has been, and he's probably looking down the pike to running for Republican president at some point, or at least was until Trump went after him. He's in the same boat as Kasich now, that they're persona non grata. But he was definitely looking down the line of like, okay, how do we guarantee a Republican future for the country by controlling the voting and making sure that the right people vote and the wrong people can't? He was definitely on board with that shit years ago. And would have, and maybe this is why Trump, because he knew this, felt comfortable calling him up and saying, hey, find me those votes. And I think he was a little more like Scalia or even Bill Barr, which is like, look, we want Republicans to run everything. We want the democracy to be dead, and we want to run everything through the Electoral College. But we can't do it all at once, or everybody will fucking notice. You got to boil the frog. And you're asking me to turn up the burner all the way, and you're going to fuck up the whole plan. So no person individually, even you, is more important than us destroying democracy in the long run. Because it ain't just Trump who's trying to do it. And Kemp is one of those guys. He's just more patient about it. He thinks that the scheme will work.
Maybe, but now that he's been attacked the way he was, maybe this will. And there are already some Georgia
Pence
Republicans
is coming
who
around.
are supporting. Right.
Pence is going to vote for Harris. I got news for you. They're not going to say it.
A lot of the former Trump staffers, and there's a lot of Republicans who just formed Republicans for Harris. And they're a huge coalition of really prominent Republicans like Adam Kinzinger and Olivia Troy and people who used to work for him, who are now adamantly opposed to him getting anywhere near the government again. And they're being very vocal in their support for Kamala Harris. And she's getting endorsements from Republicans from coast to coast. And so if she can get the Georgia Republicans to back her, and we have Georgia in play at the same time we have Florida in play. The Republican Party should be running scared because as of, not that long ago, the Republicans in Georgia were trying to get rid of Fani Willis so she couldn't prosecute Donald Trump. But now they might be willing to be like, no, what's going on? I don't know. What's happening? No, I'm busy. I have to go fishing. So all it takes is for one person to learn, if everything Trump touches dies, then it also has to start coming back to bite him now. And the toxicity that he's putting out in the world is finally coming back.
Yeah.
When he said the stuff about Kamala and she decided to become black or what? You have that. You said that. You can't take it back. And then this Michigas with the debate. You are a fucking coward. You cannot control this narrative. You and your campaign agreed to this schedule. You didn't have to agree to who the candidate was. That doesn't matter. You agreed to a debate schedule. That's what you are supposed to show up for, you fucking coward. And if you do it on Fox, you do it on ABC, or you do it on the moon, the facts she has against you are still the facts. And she's still going to prosecute the shit out of you. So what I propose is that you show up on September 10th. And then if you show up on September 10th, she'll agree to show up on Fox. But not before that. Not before that. You don't get to change the rules because you don't like them. Just because you want to move the courtroom doesn't change the fact that the prosecutor still has you dead to rights. And just because your bully friends are standing behind you on the schoolyard, that doesn't mean the little nerd kid's not going to still beat you up. So, haven't you ever seen My Bodyguard? Come on, at the end, the kid wins. The Revenge of the Nerds. Come on. You're not going to win this one, man.
Nope.
Not with all of this shit that's going on. You just keep making it worse for yourself.
Well, again, we ought to count our lucky stars. Yeah, we got to count our lucky stars that Trump is as ham-handed, stupid, full of shit, and ignorant as he is. Because, again, if you had somebody who was more savvy in this situation, and again, not Trump if he was more savvy, because that is never going to happen. This man is not going to go anywhere but down. Period. End of story. There is no
all down with him.
Yeah, he's not gonna figure this out. He's not gonna figure out an attack that works on Harris between now and the election. He's not gonna fucking do it. You're done. There's no laptop waiting in the wings that you can pretend exists. There's no sketchy kid running around. Those are your kids now. And this is one of polling comes out today that Harris leads Trump 55-37 in a head-to-head amongst Latinos in Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and North Carolina. And all the swing states, she is now beating him. It was because of RFK Jr.'s positioning and some sort of wash. By the way, it would have drifted back this way no matter who was at the top of the Democratic ticket, I'm here to tell you. And it's never going to get above 40 and stay there for a Republican fucking ever. And part of this, Biden had 60% amongst Latinos during the 2020 election. She has 55 already. And that 5 could be just the shave of some Latino men who don't favor the idea of a woman being in power or strong Catholics and all that kind of. There's a big mesh of those folks. There's a lot of all of the 37% that support Trump are largely single issue abortion voters in a lot of ways. That's why they're able to hold their nose when he's talking shit about people who look like them nonstop. Right? That's they just hold that line that as long as he's protecting babies, then I don't give a shit what he says about me. They live in that space. It's fucking crazy, but that's what it is. I mean, I don't know that it's all 37% because I don't know that they're all going to stay there. I think he's going to lose even more of those. He'll lose maybe 5% more. She'll end up hitting that 60%. I think it might be a big piece of news when she ultimately in one of these polls hits 62% among Latinos or something and causes a giant fucking panic, which is what the Republicans voting for Harris are all talking about. That we will never get a chance to fight for conservative values, real ones, ever again if we follow this motherfucker down the rabbit hole and vanish. If he drags us into the fucking volcano, we're gonna get burned to shit. That's it. And they know it. That's what they're talking
Absolutely.
about.
And
This right here.
right. And because of that, when it comes to future for a Republican Party that is not represented by Donald Trump and the MAGA cult, is ultimately what they want, right? These Republicans who are voting for Harris want to return to what the Republican Party used to mean before Donald Trump threw his diaper all over it and Putin invaded it and they're all compromised bullshit assholes. So
Yeah.
I would love to believe that these Republicans voting for Harris also want to see a Democratic majority in the House and Senate so that all of those MAGA Republicans are somehow held accountable and removed so they can be replaced with someone who aligns with more of the party's original platform of what conservative values are supposed to be. So it's one thing because it's, again, what if you cut off the head, another one can just grow there if you don't remove all of the illness that's in the body. So you get rid of Marjorie and Lauren and, Clay Higgins and all, you get rid of Tommy Tuberville and Chip Roy and you get rid of Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and you get rid of Paul Gosar and, you get rid of all of the rotten.
Right.
It's like if you bought a house to flip. You have to remove all of the rotten stuff in the foundation before you can rebuild, or else it's just going to fall apart again. So that's what Republicans need to do, and they need several election cycles to clean it up. But if they're patient enough, they can get their party back to something resembling what it used to be. And again, I asked them to go back and look at old video. What was your party like in the Obama years? How'd you behave? Just how'd you behave publicly? How did you speak about the president, the vice president, and the Speaker of the House at that time?
How did you speak about each other? That's the amazing thing. Leave us out of it. Holy shit. Like the way they attack. I came up with that like 2 things of popcorn munch thing that I do on Twitter in just watching their infighting because I have a hands off, sort of my own Hippocratic oath that first do no harm. Just if they're kicking themselves, just watch. I'm not going to jump in there and try to save either side because this is a bed they made. They got to lay in it. That's that's the fleas they're going to have. But the attacks they do on each other are as vile as the worst attacks we would see from the most extreme Republicans against the most extreme Democrats. Like the ones on the far right. Because they know all the
dirty shit about each other.
Right. But, well, I mean, all Madison Cawthorn, Matt Gaetz pissing contests aside, I think it's
McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy knows where a lot of bodies are buried. And he doesn't have to worry about...
Yeah, it's in Bakersfield because he lives in the murder capital of the world.
Right? So he can spout off, he's a spineless rat bastard who took bribes from Lev Parnas, and he's never been prosecuted for that.
Right.
But he also doesn't give a fuck, and he can say on national television, well, Matt Gaetz is being investigated for, raping a teenager. So it's like everyone, like a stopped clock is correct twice a day. Occasionally a Republican says something that's accurate. So, but they're all so terrified right now, and they're particularly terrified of a black woman running shit. I can't see what that says, but
I'll point this out to you. It says the poll
read
that
to
I was
me,
reading,
Uncle Hal.
I will. The poll that I was referring to about her standing amongst Latinos. It says the poll dovetails with other national polls, finding similar advantages for Harris among Latino voters, but significantly. This is the one that I just cited. The larger Latino sample size in the survey commissioned by the voter engagement group Somos PAC and conducted by Latino pollster Gary Segura provides a stronger basis for confidence that Harris's lead among Hispanics is real and that there is room to grow is the point that they get to. That she is increasing her lead in all of these areas. I have not seen a poll amongst women right now, but I would say that the whisper amongst Republican women voting for her is going to be a major part of the story after this is run, because Democrats will go, yeah, they obviously voted for Harris because she's the better candidate and possibly because she's a woman, but whatever. But they, just to be part of history and stuff, which is totally cool. But the Republicans will say, no, they didn't. They voted for Trump and their votes were stolen, is what they will say. They right?
Fucking babies never can accept loss. He's still, you spend just far too much time wondering what the world would look like right now if Donald Trump's parents had just loved him. Just
Right.
basic love. Just been basically decent parents. But anyway, there's, all of this is also driven by the fact that Gen Z is incredibly motivated to vote because now they have something to vote for. And she's very memeable. And I learned from my own Gen Z son that popularity is going to be huge. And they needed something to vote for, not just something to vote against.
Mm-hmm.
They need that optimism. And it's created just like an amazing push on social media for her.
I'll tell you what. Okay.
They love her.
Yes.
Cross-generational, cross community. The excitement for her is Obama 2008 on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Republicans don't have that. They don't have that excitement.
Estrogen,
nobody can get that
because
excited
I think
about
part
that.
of it. I think part of it
women
is
are pissed and
right.
we're motivated.
Yes, but I would also say that women are like voters in general are excited about the idea, as they were excited about voting for the first black president with Obama. A large swath of human beings in this country, including a huge and ever expanding group of, I guess, right-leaning independents and Republicans, right? But also those same voters are like even more excited to go, and we want a woman. They were the same ones who, by the way, gave Hillary an edge of 3 million votes in the popular vote, even though she lost the Electoral College, which is what the whole fucking thing is set up.
Don't even. I'm gonna die mad.
So one of the stories that we always hear about election cycles in this country is that Republicans always hope for low turnout, and Democrats. If all of our voters turn out, if every registered voter in the country turned out, every fucking one of them, and voted exactly their party line, Democrats win every time. I don't know how to I don't know how to make that clear.
It's just math.
On the number, just the math. If everybody votes, everybody gets up off their ass and votes, Republicans lose. Every time, and they know this. This is why they gerrymander. It's why they focus so much on the Electoral College. It's why they put so much stock in the Senate, where they have outsized representation because they have tiny little fucking states with fewer people in them than Santa Monica, California, and they have 2 senators representing a land mass. Right. That's why they put so much stock in it, because they can put so much control. It's because if the people do manage to put the president in and have the House and the Senate, one senator can put an anonymous hold on shit and stop it going through committee. So that's their way to get around democracy, and they've been doing it for a long time. So it takes an overwhelming win by Democrats to push a lot of this stuff forward, more so than the hurdles that Republicans have to go through, because all they got to do is stop things. It's easier if you're in the marathon to win it by running. It's easier than if you're in it to win it by tripping everyone else, which is what the Republican system is. What do you think?
But go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was the turnout that is one of the biggest things. Like, are people excited to vote? Is there going to be a turnout? And they do that poll all the time. And we have a history in this country of people not voting, like in mass, like a big chunk of the electorate not showing up. 60% turnout is a fucking miracle most of the time. Okay. And so when they do this poll, they ask people, are you excited to vote? Are you definitely going to vote? Are you pretty sure you're going to vote? Are you likely to vote? And then there's not at all and probably not. Okay. The not at all and probably not has been dogging around 15% for a very long time. Most election cycles. Okay? You want to know what the number is this time? You want to know what the number is this time? And again, let me tell you, if everybody votes, Democrats win. So you want to know what the fucking number is? You know what the number is?
Yes, please.
5.
Yes! I'm overjoyed to hear
5.
This, because everybody I know is not just gonna vote. They are excited to vote. They're enthusiastic. Their faces light up when they talk about Kamala Harris, I didn't see that. As much as people say they love Joe Biden, they appreciate the sacrifices he's made. His legacy is secure. All of it is sealed. He's still doing great stuff on his way out the door. They don't light up the same way, and the last 2 weeks have been incredible. And for once since this whole shit ride began in 2015, the MSM is covering this correctly. They are following our lead when it comes to how to cover Kamala, because what they're covering are the crowds and the excitement and the massive amounts of Zoom calls and the volunteers and the money she has raised in 2 weeks is far outpacing what he's raised in 2 years. And all of it is pushing him further and further down. When they are talking about, when the news comes on now, they're leading with her, not with him. He's in the back. He's the second story, the third story, maybe even the fourth story. And so his popularity is falling off as he keeps fucking up. And their coverage of her is also shining the correct light on him, because she's talking about him in the right way. She's calling those Trump abortion bans. She is calling him out to his face, even though he won't speak to her face. Her campaign is fucking on point. He says something, they have a comment about it 2 minutes later. They are on this. And the excitement is spreading, like I said, cross-generational and cross-community, and it can't be ignored. They can't cover her the way they covered Joe Biden, and that they were like, well, I don't know how good this is going to be. This is incredible. You can't deny the excitement that's around her, and they can't compete on the other side. And real Americans who barely pay attention to politics, that's why it's 5% now, because the mainstream media has been inundated with these great crowds responding to Kamala Harris and all these endorsements coming immediately, and all of these celebrities showing up for her that normally don't even pay attention to politics. They're hearing from a lot of people, and the enthusiasm continues to grow. And so when mainstream America sees that, when they do the enthusiasms on the mainstream medias and the regular peoples see the enthusiasms, that's how you get Pete Buttigieg polling at 21% for her VP.
Well,
those positive images in the media matter.
Right. Well, and I will go.
Really
sometimes they will follow the laser pointer. Sometimes, and that's I would love to give them credit for being somehow I guess more aware this time around. But I just honestly don't trust that that's the case. I feel like they realize that's the side the bread the butter is on, and that's fine with me. I'd rather have them rely on that, because we can define the conversation more that way. That said, the jump in her funding also includes the normal outlay during this period leading up to the election, and the transfer of funds that automatically flipped over, where they said, here's your money back. Do you want to give it to her? Yes. Here's your money back. Do you want to give it to her? Yes. And so she set a record, but in many ways it's like, and this is not a one-to-one analogy, but you'll understand. It's like saying the Titanic stock has gone down, but the lifeboat stock has gone up. That there is a transfer of people. People are much more bullish on lifeboats. That's how the transfer happened. The people are like not excited, about doing the transfer. They are doing it for survival, and they realize it's crucial to them being alive. And the same thing was true, by the way, I think, where maybe this is a better analogy, because it's like they were on the good ship Biden, and they are the captain, and they ignored the iceberg, which is Donald Trump. They were like, we're fine. There's no problem.
And people like us are going,
there's a fucking iceberg. Yeah. And you motherfuckers are steering us right into this iceberg. And then when we hit it, everybody jumped over to Kamala Harris and are like, and are desperately clinging to floating doors, and going, this is so much better than being dead in the icy water. So, which is true. It is much better than being dead in the icy water. Momentum. That said, we were trying to warn you motherfuckers. Yeah.
Well, we can either be mired in that, or we can be excited by the fact that we're about to find out her vice presidential running mate, and we're going to get really excited about that, and we're going to put all of our energy behind. Again, she could choose my that I wear to make sure I don't get a headache from the screen, and I'd be like, great, let's go. I don't think, I think whoever, and the beef steaks is something that everyone is really paying attention to, and I've written about it, and for a while it was a distraction, but now it really matters. And there's a lot of conversations around a lot of the people who were running, and there's reasons to choose them and there's reasons to not choose them. And when we separate our feelings from what we think is the right thing, we can say, well, I hope it's this person because this person would be the best person. Your
Right.
heart can say, oh, I want it to be Pete. I want this country to be progressive enough to vote for Pete Buttigieg as well as Kamala Harris at the same time. I don't know if we're progressive enough. And I mean, you
Right.
want to believe that we are because he's so popular and he does so well on Fox News and he polls well.
Yep.
But, you know, they have to be so careful about everything that she does because everything she does is going to be under a microscope
let me
more
tell
than
you,
any other president.
We learned this with gay marriage, and as somebody who was on Queer as Folk for 5 seasons / 6 years, I feel like I stood and put all my weight on one side of the justice, balance, the scales. As I stood, I was like, I'm all in on this side of it. As somebody who was there, I was very aware by just the fan mail we would get when we had characters on the show, because I was on, my character was the first legal gay marriage on, an American series. Also the first HIV positive negative relationship on, an American series. First gay adoption on, we did all this stuff. And America wasn't ready for it yet. Fuck you. GLAAD wasn't ready for it. Let me tell you something. GLAAD treated us like shit. We won right out of the gate because it was a British series. We won Best New Drama Series. Because they almost like they felt like they had to. But the rest of the time, they ignored the shit out of us. And they did it on purpose.
I love that show.
I know. I agree. And because it dealt with a lot of the uncomfortable aspects of stuff to make people recognize that people are, the term queer as folk means there's no one as strange as normal people. That's where the Brits phrase comes from. There's not just queer as folk. There's nothing weirder than normal people. And the whole point was, look how normal their lives are. How different are they really from people, straight kids who go clubbing and that kind of shit and the relationship stuff they go through and stuff. And love is the whole point we're trying to make. Right?
Right.
And so I was very aware, even then, that the country wasn't ready for it. But my show, among other things, of course, and the constant march towards, played a part in advancing that idea to the point where it became self-evident, where by the time it came around, the public was calling for it more than leadership was. And this was part of the Obama strategy. It's where, by the way, Biden got out ahead of his skis by being all for it when they were saying easy, because we're for it. Yes, we're for it. But they're not ready for it yet.
He's always been for it. If
we say we won't get elected, and the person that gets elected will be the person who will stop it forever. And that's what we're dealing with. The same thing is true right now of gay rights and women's rights and all this other stuff. That if any pivotal amount of the electorate is okay with it but not ready for it to be in governance, or not ready to run things, or be a heartbeat away from the presidency, or something like that. If there's enough of a measurable group, and by the way, there's a ton of, like I said, Catholic Latinos that feel that way. There's a lot of the Kanye-style black misogyny that's out there. There's certainly a lot of, the khaki pants wearing Charlie Kirk crowd that can't wait to vote against a gay person in every capacity. There's enough of them statistically to just shave off 2%. And that's all they needed for us to win the popular vote again with our very popular ideas, but lose the electoral college. And so the problem the right has, and this is what I really do believe in my stoic optimism, is that the more people get to know Pete Buttigieg, the more they would trust him to be their president over time. And that's why I've been calling for him to be Secretary of State, give him more responsibility so he could show off how good he is. Right.
Yes.
And he's young. He's got time. Right.
Exactly. That's exactly.
And they could use youth as a way. They could use youth as a way to vote against the fact that he's gay. As an excuse, they could go, "Nah, he's just too young." Right. When they really are voting against the fact that he's gay.
Joe Biden was too old. So who's just right? I don't know. But in
Kamala?
taking a look at who yes, she is.
I think she's just right.
But
she's the course that Goldilocks picked.
Right. I love her. But in taking a look at who the final contenders are, because I wrote an article about this, she spent time with all of them over the weekend, which is why they canceled their plans and why cancel their plans became a weekend trend. She met with Pete Buttigieg for about 90 minutes on Friday. The rest of them were meeting with her over the weekend. She's making the official announcement tomorrow, and then they're going out on the road together. And so we've seen criticisms weighed at most of her choices for whatever the reasons are. For me personally, and based on a conversation that I had the day after all of this began, so 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with my 25-year-old son, who made his first political contribution ever to Kamala as soon as Joe Biden said she's the one, which is wonderful. And I said, I'm trying to figure out who I want to throw my weight behind as far as a VP. And he goes, Andy Bashir. Without a moment's hesitation, he said, Andy Bashir. And we talked about this. And so the presentation there is, he's 46. He is truly from Appalachia, unlike Hillbilly Effigy, and understands the opioid crisis that's impacted that region. He's also been great on women's rights and on LGBTQ plus rights, especially protecting trans kids in Kentucky. And as a Democratic governor, he can't run again. He has fulfilled his term limits, so he's free to move about the country. As the 46-year-old vice president, he won't steal any thunder from her. He won't pull any focus. He'll be a great surrogate for her and their eventual administration without being a showboat who takes the, he's not going to be Vancey. He's going to be, he would be straightforward, regular. I understand that people love Tim Walz. I understand that people love Mark Kelly. I like Mark Kelly remaining in the Senate. And even though Tim Walz is a delight, listen to the words I'm saying. I love him. And he's only a year older. He looks like her grandpa sometimes. He looks like, fun Uncle Tim. We love him. But the optics need to be, she's in charge, not another old white man. Even if they're standing next to each other, the eye goes to the white man. So he needs to be younger. Andy Bashir is 46, Kamala's 59. The optics here are going to be critical. When it was Obama choosing his VP and he chose Joe Biden, and Joe Biden was willing to do that, I don't think anybody thought, oh, Joe Biden's really running the country, because Obama is a man. But this is a black woman. And so to have a black woman standing next to a white man, they need to promote the vision. She's the one in charge.
Well,
command.
Look,
that was very important.
That was the Tim Kaine problem, though. That was what gave us Tim Kaine, and Tim Kaine was absolutely.
This time, that's different now, though.
Sort of, because I think the same thing still applies, and the concern was we can't have somebody who's forceful, or has a history. The way, and that was why, by the way, what gave Obama a leg up was that he chose more competency for his VP than most people are comfortable with, and McCain chose the opposite. McCain went for this.
Critical flaw.
She couldn't possibly be in charge telling him what to do after Bush Cheney. Bush Cheney, Tim Kaine, she cannot pick Tim Kaine. I think in some ways, and I like Bashir, as a Kentuckian, but I will say, sorry, how Twitch? Oh, sorry. Is there a Twitch issue? What's happening? Sorry. I will let it know. I'm going to check something.
The Twitch kids can't hear us. Hi, guys.
Really?
I don't know.
All right. That should be all right. No Twitch issue? It's fine? Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Has
anyone made my bear Photoshop yet? We still got 10 minutes.
All right. Oh, I see. I didn't realize we were supposed to do that live. And by the way,
I just thought it would be funny if somebody made one while we were together on the air. I just thought that would be a fun thing. By the way, when at the beginning of the show you said I need to get on the Sexy Liberal panel while you're here in Portland, I would love that, because you have Tom Hartman, and I believe Rachel Bidikofer is joining as well. Plus, my mom will be here, so if I could show off a little bit for my mom, I will pull
every string I have. Oh, there's bad audio
you're
lag.
You're going to put us on the list. I'm not worried about that. But if I could join the conversation or remind Portland I exist, that'd be delightful. And also just get to talk to everybody on the panel, because I love all of you so much, and I can't wait. I mean, to finally get to meet Frangela, this is a dream come true. And I've been a fan of yours. I mean, you and I have met, but it's been forever since you and I have hung out. That's right. I've been a fan of John Fugelsang since he was on VH1. Remember those days? So, it all, and I've been on the show with Stephanie just once. And so I'd love it, a chance to go back, but to be able to, maybe, and Tom Hartman and I don't know why Tom Hartman and I aren't like hanging out together because we're both strong radio personalities here. But whatevs
Yeah.
we can do together whilst you're here, and
Yeah.
also we could talk about, I could get you some more of these
Yes.
books.
And we'll go down to the
this is
bookstore and
important.
we'll do viral videos of us pointing
Oh,
at the book.
I don't know. I am wearing my Foo Fighters shirt today because today is the 23rd anniversary of the day I met this goofball Dave Grohl, and it started us off on this path of whatever this is now. And 23 years ago, people who don't know this, I was on the Foo Fighters post board in 2001. That's what social media was before there was social media.
You're
and
so
I
Gen
met
X.
people, right? This is a month before 9/11.
Right.
And I flew down, and my friends met me at the gate. Some kids in the chat might not know what that is. Anyway, so we saw that the Foo Fighters did a special show just for members of their post board at the Troubadour in LA 23 years ago tonight. And I was right in the front, and it was my first Foo Fighters show. And when girls go to shows and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys, the lead singer totally looked at me." So the lead singer totally looked at me, but then he's like, "I know who you are." And I was like, "What? Why?
How's that possible?
What,
right.
How, and why, and why, and how? What for? Why, what? And so I got to meet him after the show. And to this day, I don't know how. I don't really know why. And just, and we've only hung out a handful of times. I haven't talked to the guy since 2009, and I haven't seen Foo Fighters play live since 2015. But again, that story is what inspired this, The Sound of Settling. Right. And that's how my characters meet, but it's not me and Dave. It's not. This is not a memoir. This is fiction. But
yeah, it's the 50. Yeah,
it's and so it inspired this, which is very important to me. That I would love everybody to buy.
50 Shades of Everlong. I'm kidding.
I mean, it doesn't get. There's nothing that nasty, gross in it. There's sexy sex in it, but even my mom says it's good. And I also have written a sequel or a follow-up or whatever you want to call it, and I want that out. But the more important thing is that the Foo Fighters are going to be here in Portland a week from Friday. And I haven't seen them since 2015. And it would just be nice to have a nice chat with the guy I haven't spoken with since 2009, because I have unanswered questions that have been living in my head for 23 years, and I would like to get rid of those. And just to shut down anybody who wants to have a mouth. Yeah. No bodily fluids have ever been exchanged, because then my story would be incredibly different and I wouldn't be telling it.
Sure.
No, not a groupie. Never had to do anything to get anywhere, to be around anyone. Not a stalker. I don't know where he lives. I don't need to know where he lives. I don't want to know where he lives. It's not necessary. Also, I didn't even know he had a third daughter till she was like 5. So I'm really bad I'm really bad at stalking. And I found out from TV. So I don't know. And also, he has been married for 21 years. We're both 55. It's not like
methinks Milady doth protest too much. This is starting to sound a little bit like RFK Jr.'s bear story.
No. This is what men say. This is I don't want to have it with anybody. Nobody. No, none. I'm done. I'm done with all that bullshit. I'm done. I just want to promote my book. That's all.
Understood.
That's all.
Gotcha.
But I'm also positive that I'm the one who inspired him to write Times Like These, which I have. Have I told you that story?
Yeah.
So I've told that story. It's a pinned thing on my TikTok. I've told that story, but I said he wanted me to go to Coachella because Foo Fighters were breaking up. And I was like, well, then you have to play a cover of my favorite song, which is this, Heroes. And he said no. And I said, then write me a song that's just as good. And they're the same fucking song. And then the Foo Fighters never broke up. It's fine. I just want to know if I'm right or not. That's all. Because it's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough. And the other thing that I just want to say, because I have this moment to say it, is it's really fucked with my head over the years. Because at the time, I was really unhappily married, and I felt invisible in my marriage, and I felt taken for granted. And as much as I love being a mom to this day, it was not a good time of my life, and I felt invisible. And to have Dave Grohl, of all people, look at me and call me his internet crush, and like have this thing, this vibe. There's no precedent for it. I mean, rock stars have pulled groupies or women out of the crowds forever, but no one ever knew their name ahead of time before they met in 2001. That would be weird.
Well, I think the Courtney Cox Bruce Springsteen thing was a total fucking setup, and I will go to the I mean, come on.
A music video is one thing, but real life is real life, and that really happened to me. And over the years, like if you think you're nothing special, and then someone looks at you and says, you are. Actually, I see something. Actually, I see something. And I didn't see it in myself until I had it.
Yeah, no, I know. It happened to me.
My rock star crush. And so it's a weird thing that I have tried to turn into a beautiful, positive thing, which I believe that I have. Thank you, thumbs up person. And so, I did that to get it out of here. There are lingering questions that I would love to get answered. How, why, did I inspire the song? Did I also inspire the pinball machine? Because I'm pretty sure I did. And all of it sounds nuts. I'm not crazy. Like when I'm right about stuff, I'm right about stuff. And if I'm wrong, I'll say that I'm wrong.
I understand.
I'm not wrong about this one.
All right.
So, also, I'm not wrong that you would love my book.
And scene.
Anyway, we still have 4 minutes.
Well,
so let's talk about.
Here's what I would say. A couple things. I had a similar experience when my mom took me to see Kiss when I was 10 years old, and I saw Kiss at Rupp Arena, and we were on the Paul side of the stage, and I was a big Paul Stanley fan, and I was dressed as him at the concert, and he pointed right at me, and I felt seen, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't have to die a drunk in Kentucky when I'm older. And so
because you look like him, and you were little and adorable.
That's true.
Why.
And he was.
But I mean, he did see you, so that matters.
He was and still is ginormous. Everybody, like he and Gene are so fucking huge as human beings, and Nick is a lovely, Gene's son. I have a picture of myself with Nick that I had taken, and I was like, I just want you to crop him out on his head. So it literally, if you and I are the picture, like the picture I have, and I'll post it. I'll have to go find it or whatever. It looks like this. It looks like it's like if you're me, this is what the picture is.
Is he like 7 feet tall or something?
He's huge. Yeah, it's hilarious. So
I once met Shaquille O'Neal. That was ridiculous.
It's hilarious, and all you can think is his poor wife. Here's what I would say and Mark Kremer in our chat. Thank you for posting this. What
is that?
This is Donald J. Trump's stock right now. Now the stock market overall, the world stock market, not doing good. It's not doing good, and it has a lot to do with people going, well, if it's not going to have some earnings, I got to pull my money out of it. And crypto is taking a giant shit. Another place, you would not be surprised to find out that there is a lot of DJT stock and crypto douchebag overlap. That the same assholes. Yeah, it's true. It is true. I've seen this thing. Also, but there is a good piece of news in it that I think almost is like a primary announcement, as I have finally broken 70,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and we will continue to grow. Hit the like, subscribe, and whatnot. It was it was one of those glass ceilings that we couldn't get past because the deep state, I am the deep state, but they're holding against me.
To stuff like selling numbers and such.
Yeah, it's tough. And I'll show you. It's this part right here. Trump Media's uncancelable live TV streaming platform is here. So apparently you can stream to Truth Sinkhole now. Now, I have said, even if it means paying for it, I would put my show on Truth Sinkhole just for the torrent benefit. I think of it as a torrent tax. So I'm going to look into that. It is now officially here. Now, obviously, they'll probably vet who can do it. And the jet like that. But if there's any chance,
would be amazing because Trump blocked me on Twitter in 2015, and so to have this voice on that,
So when you're a guest, specifically,
you could tag him.
I will try, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that by the time you are on next time, I hopefully will be on there. And if there's a free version of it, I don't care if some asshole is selling like Trump oil and Trump salve and Trump coins and Trump
and the gold
pre butt wipes or whatever the fuck they sell it, passing for ads on his channel, whatever it is. They can run those ads on there if that's what the free version is.
Probably something for like a penile catheter. That's probably who runs ads on Truth.
Yeah. No, hey, and I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Anything that adds
I'll wear my Trump getting punched out by Wonder Woman shirt.
Yeah, it'll go over. Yeah,
Great visual.
yeah.
Have your great
So,
visual on Truth
anyways,
Social.
hopefully, if that makes it, if it's available, because I was on VK for a while, which is for those that don't know, the Russian Facebook. When they attacked, I was like, wait, it's because they were posting shit about it on the Russian Facebook, and I was like, I wonder if you could stream on Russian Facebook, and there it fucking was in Restream as an available channel. So I signed right the fuck up and I started streaming. And you won't be surprised that it took them I was surprised how long it took, but it took them about 3 months. My account vanished. It just went away.
Weird.
Funny. Yeah, and I don't
Fish.
doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if I had a similar situation with Truth Sinkhole, but I will definitely try. Yeah.
Putin for the prisoner exchange instead of praising Joe Biden for them. So probably won't go over well with Daddy Vladdy, but I support you giving it a shot.
Right.
Anything to humiliate him within his own element. Anything. Happy to do it. I sent an interview request to the Trump campaign. They strangely haven't responded.
Oh, really?
I mean, I have a real reason. I know, it's crazy. I don't know who you have to be to get an interview with him anymore because he's apparently talking to anybody, but not me. He's afraid. He's afraid. He's scared of Kamala. He's scared of Fonnie Willis. He's scared of Letitia James. He's real scared of Judge Tanya Chutkan now because we haven't even touched on that. She's going back in. She's going back in. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just when the DNC is about to start.
Yeah.
The timing. And September is going to be a beautiful month if you're a person who doesn't like Donald Trump. It's just going to be so fascinating because he's going back into court. He's going back into court 16th, with Eugene on the
that
6th.
Weekend. So August 16th is when they're going to have this. Chutkan's going to have her evidentiary hearing, we'll talk about this when that comes. But I will be in Chicago on that day. Doing my show probably from our dear friend Rob Glenn's studio, as we, and I have a Nerd Halen show that night before Sexy Liberal the next night on the 17th. So I literally I'm probably going to have to just study up on the Chutkan case and read transcripts just to write jokes for the 17th because that's what's going to be the news cycle that day, and everybody's going to forget all the other crazy shit he's doing in the in that period. But we will definitely talk right after that. The following Monday, when I'm back in LA or back in Vegas, and we're on the show, we will have plenty to review about that thing. And Trump will be losing his fucking mind because the DNC and because of this thing. Right as they're having the DNC, he's having to go and sit down during this, which will take him. I guess I mean he'll preload a bunch of bullshit posts, but he's got to be there, and he can't sit during his fucking evidentiary hearing going, "This is bullshit." They'll preload all the
whole time.
Yeah,
she could take weeks. She could take weeks to hear evidence. She could take weeks into November.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And he's being sentenced September 18th.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot. September's going to be amazing.
Oh my God. And let's say, what if they bounce that, he manages to get a delay, but he can only delay it into October, and he literally creates his own October surprise.
I mean, the October surprise is going to come from Judge Chutkan, I believe. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, what other Octobers? I don't think we're going to.
Well, it's sentencing from the New York case.
Sentencing. Well,
that's what I mean.
I really hope the judge is just like, fuck you, man. You have pulled so much shit with me. You tried it with my daughter. Fuck you. Michael Cohen went away for this. You're going. Even if it's literally 45 days.
Yeah.
Just because he's 45. Even if it's 45 days, it will kill him with his face. He's going to try to martyr himself. It's not, it's not going to work. All of it's going to be amazing. I'm really just the fodder from that is going to be glorious. And so, but just all of it is coming together all at once, which I'm fine with it. The glacial pace of the judicial system, it's frustrating and it can make you want to pull the skin off of your own face. But all of this coming together at once is a beautiful happenstance of awesome. And Karma. Karma is a black woman, and she's coming for Donald Trump. Beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. So have a wonderful time. Don't forget, TaraDublinRocks.com leads you to the book, so you can pick it up, pick up your copy.
Please buy my book.
Absolutely. And I think we posted the link again in the chat for your the Substack, but if we haven't, I will. And everybody check out her writing in TaraDublinRocks.com.
All the links are in my Twitter. Bye, guys.
Excellent.
Have a great week. I love you.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. There she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin does indeed rock, and off she goes. And we have a lot to cover this afternoon. I want to, by the way, tomorrow is CSL's birthday. I'm just getting you guys prepped. Just letting you know. Just shh. Don't make a big thing out of it. But we've just a reminder. So just keep it on between you and me. So that I'm just saying. And just shh. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go restart my computer, which has been on since I left for New York, in sleep mode, so that hopefully my camera isn't all jaggy for later. These aren't problems. These are not. We don't have a problem here. This is not. Honestly. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I'm sorry, the Pod Save America guys wanted to say something. I understand, but too bad. Hit that like on your way out, everybody. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Why? It's free. Why? I'm not going to send you emails. It's not an email. It's not a mailing list. Just subscribe. Come on. Just do it.